Welcome back to the I Want to Be Like You podcast, the mother-daughter podcast that will make you laugh, make you cry, and probably make you a little uncomfortable.
The title of today's episode is I'm Not Like a Regular Mom, I'm a Cool Mom. And we are your hosts, Christina and Piper. What are we going to talk about today?
Sex.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Sex! We're going to talk about how Piper and I had the talk. Honestly, I'm glad we're having this discussion so early because the discussion we had was very early in your life and it still makes me angry why we had to have it. So we're just going to jump right in. When Piper was in preschool, she has always been one of those kids that is a lot more mature than the other kids her age.
But at the same time, I'm not.
Right, she's still a kid. I remember at one point she kind of came to me and in a very reluctant way asked me some questions about not just sex, but the wording she was using was very pornographic. And I asked her where she had heard it. And it turns out that another little girl at the preschool that was about 3 or 4 years older than her had been pulling Piper aside at preschool and showing her porn sites. So it was very frustrating for me as a parent and a mother. And I cried when I found that out because that innocence was completely taken from my child. Instead of getting to have the talk with her on my terms or on her terms, instead I had to go back and correct what had been told to her by, frankly, this other little shit who no doubt had been shown this by either an older sibling or their parents didn't care or whatever the case may have been. Now, I'm not necessarily blaming that other child. However, who I am going to blame are the owners and the directors of that preschool, because when I brought it to their attention, they kind of treated it like it wasn't a big deal. They were like, oh, well. So the next day I pulled Piper out of that preschool and never looked back. I spent years after that having to correct so many things that you had seen or heard or thought was, normal for a sex life. And I still think to this day that there are several things that are still stuck in your mind. And I'm glad you and I have the relationship we have because I want you to come to me with those things. But I still think there are things that every once in a while you'll be like, okay, but what is this? Because I remember seeing this. And now that I am older, I'm realizing that's off.
Yeah.
That's not correct, and I want you to come to me so that you know the difference between fake and unhealthy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah, I know you do. And you come to me and I love that. And I've always told you especially ever since then that you'll never ask me a question that I won't answer. It may be weird, but I'll answer it. But I did. I had the talk with Piper when she was only 4 or 5, maybe. No, you were only 4. Wait, no, you were 5. I had already met David. I remember that only because I didn't tell David what had happened, but I remember seeing David, going on a date with him at some point a few days after it had happened, and I was still really upset about the whole situation. I remember telling him that I just wasn't in a good headspace and I needed to go home. So you were only 5, and in all honesty, you were my first child and I was so young.
And your favorite?
Well, you're my only child at the time. You are my favorite daughter.
I'm your only daughter.
I know. So obviously I don't lie to you. Obviously I can't predict these things, but I guess I expected to have that talk with you when you were maybe I guess more around the age of 11.
Yeah, I was about to say 11. That's when I know most kids have
right,
talk.
like 11 or 12. Typically when you hit middle school and then you realize that
kids have no filter.
They really don't have a filter, and they sure do be running their mouths. So I guess I kind of And that's when I started hearing stuff, was more in middle school. So that's kind of when I had mentally prepared myself. That was one of those things where I thought I had had all this time to prepare to have that talk with you. And then out of nowhere, it was like, well, nope, here it is. Time to have the talk. And not only that, but time to repair this damage that has been done with absolutely no control of yours. You know, and at that point, all I could do was repair as much as I could and make sure that moving forward, you knew to come to me. Now, I do have to say that clearly I had done something right from the get-go.
What's get-go?
Like from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Or I don't think you would have come to me.
Yeah.
At all. Because it
I
was...
always feel like I can come to you.
Well, good. But I mean, like, because it was a very embarrassing thing for you. And I remember you crying when you brought it to me, when essentially you had to, like, come clean about what was happening. And I wanted you to know you were safe. And before I even, like, answered your questions and talked to you, I kind of, I don't know if you remember that, but I kind of just held you and you were just crying because it was really upsetting and it was really uncomfortable for you, and I hated that. And it was the end of the innocence for you, and you were only 5, and I hated that. It made me so angry. I was so livid. I honestly, I really don't care what other parents think of what I'm about to say. I really don't, because parents don't know how they're gonna react until something like this happens. If I had not had the space to calm down, I probably would have cussed the other parents out, or the other child.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've always made that very clear to you as well. You know, like when you found out about Santa, I made it very clear to you. I was like, don't go running your mouth, because that's not your place. I don't know what other parents have told their children, and I don't know what they've found out, but I do know that you're not going to be the one to spill the beans.
No,
because it's not your place.
Yeah, I remember when I was in elementary school, I think it was like, I asked you about Santa when I was 8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like in 4th grade.
Well, you didn't really ask. You kind of, I mean, you did ask, but it was more like you asked if I believed in Santa.
Oh.
And I was like, I mean, maybe. And you were like, who is Santa? And I was like, you mean like philosophically? And you were like, Mom. And I was like, I think Santa's more of like a feeling than a person. And you were like, really? And I went, what? And you said, I think he's a person. And I went, do you? And you went, yep. And I went, why do you think that? And you said, because I think he's you. I was like, yeah.
But no, okay, so I was like 8?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was in 3rd, 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know my little
Wait.
blonde...
Yeah, 4th grade.
Okay, you know my little blonde friend, her mom was so sweet. And there was this little brat that, like, went up to us. It was around the holiday season, and I already, like, did that. So it was, like, after, actually. And this kid was like, you know Santa Claus isn't real, right? And I was like...
To her?
It was, like, to both of us, and I was like, yeah. And she was like, what? Because she had told me before that she knew that Santa wasn't real. But then I started feeling really, really bad.
No, I hate that.
And then this kid was like, haha, you're upset. And then just walked off
the
with
hell?
the little lollipop.
What a little asshole. With a lollipop? What is he, part of the Lollipop Guild? The fuck?
No, there was like this little fundraiser thing that was going on, and he sold like so-and-so dollars, so he got like a lollipop.
He sold?
Sold.
So you and I had the talk before you knew about Santa. That's pretty upsetting.
At least my innocence was still there a little bit with Santa.
Yeah, there's something seriously wrong with the fact that you and I had the sex talk before you knew about Santa. But no, I used to tell you all the time, it's not your place. It's not your place to tell other kids. And I told you that about sex. I was like, it is not your place to talk to other kids about that. So again, for all the parents out there, I just have to say, and again, to each their own, everyone parents differently. you do your thing. However, I firmly believe that one of the biggest mistakes parents can make is avoiding awkward conversations. Awkward conversations are going to happen. Honestly, lean into it. It's weird. Just embrace it. It's weird. It's real fucking weird. Like when you tell your kid something and they're like, that's disgusting. Sure, admit it. Yeah, it's gross. Yeah, okay. I feel like, sure, that's fair. Like, okay, we're going to go ahead and share with you my personal favorite anecdote. I don't think it's Piper's, but I will absolutely never forget Piper asking me, and of course this came from her hearing one of the kids at school say this word. She asked me what fingering meant. And again, I have always told Piper she can ask me anything. And no matter how weird it is or how awkward, I will tell her, I will answer her questions. So I answered her question for her, and she looked right at me with the most horrified look and said, "Oh my God, that's disgusting. Why would anyone ever do that?" And guys, I'm not going to lie, I kind of froze for a second, and then I just stood there and said, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know whose idea it was to do it first. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And she was like, that's such a weird thing to do. And I was like, yeah, it is. You're not. Okay. Yeah. It is.
Something that, like, weirded me out, too, was, I think I asked you that at, like, the end of school or something. And so over the summer, I got my school supplies because I'm homeschooled, like, virtual, so I get supplies for that. And I got the recorder for music class or whatever. I open it up and see that it says fingering chart on it. And I am automatically concerned because this isn't what music is about. And I was like, I just want to play the recorder. I mean, I don't want to play the recorder, but, like, I had to.
I didn't want you to play the recorder either.
Shut up. And so I was so confused, and I didn't really think much about it, so I just kind of, like, put it aside. And then I told Mama about it, and she told me that it was for, like where you're supposed to place your fingers on the recorder, and that made so much sense. But I was insanely weirded out when I got the recorder for school.
You looked terrified when you told me. Like, when you finally asked me about it. When you finally, like, when your teachers told you that you were going to start next week or whatever, you were like, we're starting the recorder next week, and, like, ugh. And
I hate the recorder.
All of us hate the recorder.
I remember when I had to do that, like, talent show recorder thing for the Jingle Bells.
It was awful. I love you so much, but it was fucking torture.
Awful.
No, you came downstairs and you were like, we're starting the recorder next week, and every parent has that moment where they're like, Jesus Christ, the recorder. And I was like, oh no, it's going to be awful. And you were like, Mom? And I was like, yeah. And you were like, I was like cooking too. I was like doing something completely innocent. I was like not even really, I mean, I was paying attention to you, but I was like doing something else. I was multitasking.
Yeah.
And you were like, Mom? And I was like, yeah. And you said, I had to ask you something. And I said, okay. And you said, you remember that thing I asked you about? And I was like, I really need you to be more specific. And you were like, fingering? And I was like, oh, yeah? And you said, my recorder has a fingering chart. And I thought I was going to piss myself. I was laughing so hard.
And how was I supposed to know? I think I was in 6th grade.
I know, but your face, you looked so scared. You looked so scared and so traumatized. And I was like, and as I was laughing, you, of course, were getting irritated with me because I was laughing. Yeah. And you were like, Mom, stop laughing. And I was like, I was like, not like that. I was like, it's so you know which holes to cover, like where to put your fingers on the recorder. And you went, oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense. I was like, it does make a lot more sense. Yes. Yes.
Okay, but why would you call it fingering chart?
Because I I can't get into this again.
Just call it the...
Because it's where to put your fingers. What do you want it to be called?
I don't know.
The holy chart?
Yeah, that's better.
Well, I will say, I've gotten quite a bit of judgment for a lot of the TV shows that I let you watch.
Riverdale?
But, yeah, Riverdale. The fact that, well, as you've gotten older, I have seen, as we've rewatched shows like Friends and even New Girl, Charmed, even, where you've gotten certain jokes that have been told that you didn't get before. Oh my God, us watching SpongeBob now with Jay.
Yes.
Like, where both of us are like, oh my, did they just say that? Like, what the, that's wrong. Y'all, fellow parents, I just have to say, your kids are gonna grow up. They're going to. Like, let it go. They're gonna learn these things. Not to sound too much like Amy Poehler in Mean Girls, where she's like, because if you're going to do it, I'd rather you do it in the house. But, like, seriously, if Piper is going to see or hear these things, I would rather her hear it from me. I would rather her come to me with these questions. I would rather her come to me and me be honest, not tell her, like Mrs. Kim, that a woman has a baby because an angel brushes her wings against her face.
That sounds so dumb.
That's not what happens, okay? I need my daughter to understand. I need her to understand what happens. I also need her to be prepared. It's not just about having an open and honest relationship with you, if I'm totally honest. That is what I want. I want us to have that.
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah, and many... Y'all, I'm not going to lie, especially moms and daughters, y'all are missing out on some of the most hilarious conversations you could ever have with your child if you don't have this open relationship with your children. But also, your kids need to be able to protect themselves. They need to. And I think it's really naive when parents are like, no, we need to teach abstinence. I'm like, great, that's fine. Teach it and instill in them that that's the best way and that's what you think is best for them. However,
is not having sex, right?
Yes. However, when you teach them that's the only way, that is so dangerous. So fucking dangerous. All I know is that whatever happens with you, I need you to be safe. I just need you to be safe. I need to know that you're safe. You're smart, that you're not going to put yourself in danger, that you're going to know what to look out for. Uh-huh. That's why I'm not going to shield you from, quite frankly, shows like Riverdale, where we see people getting shit put in their drinks. And we see people being taken advantage of. And we see men and women being put in situations that are dangerous. Because I want you to know what to look for.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And I want you to know when a situation gets... I was going to say precarious, but you don't really use that word. When a situation is not vibing.
Okay.
I want you to be able to call me. I want you to call me, or I want you to call your daddy, or I want you to call David or Amber. I want you to know this is not okay. What is happening is not okay, and I need to extract myself from this situation. And I want you to not be afraid to call me.
I'm not.
Exactly. I want you to know
I've called you about stupid things too.
Yeah, of course. But I want you to know that's why I don't hide these things from you. That's why you know that I lost my virginity at 15. That's why you know that I used to sneak out and go party with Aunt Patty and Aunt Jessie. Because I want you to know that if you ever get in a situation and you're out and you need to call someone, I want to be the first person you call. Yeah. I don't want to be someone you're afraid to call. I was terrified to call my parents.
Well, you also snuck out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to sneak out.
I know you're not, because I'll fucking catch you.
Yeah.
Especially in this house. This is my childhood home, and I know all the ways out. Yep. They are. That's why I put the hardwood floors in. Yep. You think that was for that? You think that was aesthetically pleasing? No, I was thinking about you being a teenager. Just kidding.
But no, I remember there was one question that I asked you about, but I can't think of the name for it.
The name for it?
Yeah. And it has to do with sex, but I can't think of the name for it.
Wait, what? Like you asked me a sexual question?
Yeah. But it was like from a funny video that we were watching.
Well, if you keep saying the name of it, it must have been about a position or something.
A blowjob.
Oh. Yeah, you asked me what a blowjob was. Yeah, that was really weird. I don't think anyone, like any single person, parent or otherwise, thinks of how weird sexual encounters are until they have to explain it to someone else, like especially a younger person. I mean, again, to each their own. Everybody got their thing, but yeah, it's weird. And the best advice I can ever give to any parent ever is if it's weird, if it's a difficult conversation, if it's sad, if it's funny, if it's gross, lean into it. Just let it happen. It's going to be weird. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be sad. It's fine. It's okay for your kids to know you're human. It's never not okay for your kids to know you're human. I've messed up. I've told you plenty of stories. My God, the things I used to do in high school, it's a wonder I'm still alive. You
and Marco walking around the neighborhood at whatever time in the morning?
Oh, no, I'm not just talking about that. This neighborhood's relatively safe. I'm talking about going in the middle of a field, in the middle of nowhere, and just drinking.
Girl, someone could have been waiting for you.
I know. I know it. You. Not every situation is a 90s slasher movie, Piper.
Okay.
But fair enough.
But you never know. What's the most awkward question I've ever asked you?
About sex or just in general?
Both.
I'd say the most awkward, if I had to label one as the most awkward, actually isn't the most awkward for me. It's just there's always going to be questions that parents and kids ask themselves or ask each other, not themselves. Well, yeah, ask themselves if they're, introspective. Where they ask each other and they see that the other person's view of them is shifting.
Yeah.
Which I expect to happen. But just like you see me completely different now than you did 2 years ago. Like that's going to happen as you get older and learn new things. I'm never going to be the same mom to you that I was when you were 8.
Yeah.
Just like in a couple years, you're never going to see me like you see me right now. Because you're going to learn new things all the time.
Mm-hmm. I'm just glad that I know one of your deepest, darkest secrets and David doesn't.
We'll get to that in a second. Whatever that may be.
It's a silly one.
What's really sad is that I tell you secrets that I don't tell anyone else, and then I completely forget about them. So then technically you know secrets about me that even I don't know. The last question you asked me having to do with sex, or like my sex life, that I realized your view of me was shifting. And I don't know if it was in a good or bad way, and honestly, either way is fair. When we were watching a TV show, but it wasn't Riverdale. It was something else, and they were talking about, well, did you guys tell each other your number? Oh, it was One Tree Hill.
I love One Tree Hill.
I know, same.
But I only start really remembering things in the 3rd season.
I know, but I love Sophia Bush so much. I love her.
She's so beautiful.
I know. But it was where Nathan and Haley are fighting.
Yeah.
In their senior year. Haley tells Nathan to write down all the women he's had sex with.
Yeah.
He says, I can't give you my whole list. And she said, why not? I can give you mine.
And it's one.
It's one. Yeah.
It's him.
And you asked me what my number was. And first I asked you because again, most parents would probably be like, you're too young for that. I'm not going to tell you that. That's none of your business. Frankly, you're my daughter. And when it comes to stuff like this, I flat out told you, if you ever want to know something, you can ask and I'll tell you. So it is your business. I'll tell you. And the agreement you and I have is that I'll answer any questions you have, but you and I have no judgment.
Yeah.
I said, do you want to know how many sexual partners I've had or how many people I've been in love with? And that was when you said, isn't it the same thing? And I said, no. And you just kind of looked at me and you said, people have sex when they're not in love. And I said, they do. And you said, why would they do that? And I said, well, full disclosure, Piper, because it's fun.
Yeah, I think that was definitely before we watched Riverdale, because they just do it whenever.
They do. I tell you what, especially Archie, he parched.
He's a whore.
He's parched.
But we love him.
Yeah, sure. And again, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate from many people for the fact that I told you that, but I'm not going to bullshit you. People do that. And oh my God, I really want to make sure my daughter isn't running around with, this thought in her head where other people can tell her, but I love you. And then she thinks she has to give it up. Like, please, next.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I want you to understand that that's at your discretion.
Yeah.
No one else's. Whether you're in love or not. And also, being in love doesn't mean you have to have sex.
Yeah.
That's not what that is. So when I told you that, I think that your view of me kind of shifted. But I also think that you and I built trust with that.
Yeah.
Because then you had this look on your face of like, I don't know how else to describe it other than you had this look of, oh shit, she was serious when she said she would not bullshit me about this stuff.
Honestly, yeah.
And so I told you, and then of course when you found out certain people were included in that category, you did have a little bit of a freak out. That was pretty funny, but we're not going to get into that as to spare the person involved. But that was pretty funny. That little freak out you had was funny to me. I'm sorry, but it was. I'll never forget that particular question because I think it gave you a moment of, it definitely shifted your reality of me.
But I didn't think differently of you.
No, it's just a shift in how you see me. And I'm okay with that because I don't want you to see me as perfect.
Because you're not.
No. Hopefully you don't see me as a slut.
I don't.
But
certain people, yes.
Yeah, but that's why I've also told you that there are people that I have been intimate with that were mistakes.
Yeah.
That I wish I could take back. And frankly, that there were some that were dangerous that could have been really bad. Yeah. And I don't ever want...
I'm still waiting for our, taser shopping date.
Oh, I actually texted Sam and asked him if he knew where we could get one. Uh-huh. And he sent me this link on Amazon with this really cute pink one.
That's so cute.
I know. So maybe I'll get you that one.
Yeah, for, my birthday.
Yeah.
And then I can start tasing people there.
If you could not just tase people. No! At your party. All the people there love you. Why would you do that?
That we know of.
Everyone at your party. Everyone that is around you loves you. I don't know anyone that comes around you that doesn't love you.
All my friends hate me. One of them hasn't answered my text in 35 minutes.
Oh my God. Me and Aunt Patty literally go weeks without answering each other.
That's me and Lily.
Yeah, we forget. And then when we do answer each other, we're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I love you.
Yeah.
Which we already knew because also we're both mothers. So it's like, I'll see her text and I'll be in the middle of changing someone's diaper or something. I'll be like, I'll answer her in a second. And then I'll totally forget.
I would say understandable, but I'm not a mother.
No, but you help me a lot. You get it.
I definitely feel like I'm going to die a virgin because I hate people. And I don't like to be around them either.
You never know. That could change. I don't like people either, but we always meet people that we make exceptions for, I like a very few select group of people. I can get along with anyone, but there are very few people that I, actively seek to hang out with,
Am I one of them?
What a dumb question.
Well, you're with me 22/7.
I'm not even going to acknowledge that question. Now, I have some questions for you.
Oh, no.
And answer honestly.
I will. If I answer honestly, will I get a milkshake?
Sure.
Okay.
Unless I genuinely think you have not answered honestly, because despite what you think, you are a really bad liar, and I can tell when you're lying.
Girl, I know. I need to take acting classes.
You're a really bad liar. For someone that's really good on stage, you are a really bad liar. When do you see yourself losing your virginity? And do you think that, because I'm not stupid, I'm not naive, I know that your generation thinks about sex and relationships a lot differently.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself being in love? Or do you see it being like a rite of passage type experience for you?
I feel like when I lose my virginity, it will be to someone that I love and that they love me back. But I feel like with my first kiss, it's either going to be on stage or I'm just going to like ask someone that I know and trust to just get it over with.
Okay. That's fair. I could see that. I could definitely see the stage thing happening with your first kiss. Just because of how many shows you do that tracks. I do hope you are in love whenever it happens. However long that takes. You know, I definitely don't want you to ever feel pressured. Whatever. I just don't want you to ever feel pressured by anyone.
I'm not.
And I don't want you to feel like you have to based on how long you've been with someone or how old you are or whether everyone around you has already done it or, you know, whatever it may be. I guess I'd want to know how you feel, I guess, in general about dating. Now that you're getting closer to that age, you know, I know you're only 13. I actually didn't have my first real date, like just me and a dude, until I was 14. Okay, and you're about to be 14. But legitimate date until then. So how are you feeling about that?
I don't have a problem with dating. I mean, I don't like couples because they bother me. But I mean, I like certain couples, like my friends. If they're in a relationship, I'll be like, "Oh, y'all are cute."
You're one of the funniest people because you're always like, "I hate couples," but you're also one of those people that's like, "Yes, oh my God, love is so cute. I love love." Like,
well, that's for certain people, like my friends.
I've never seen you not love love. I've literally never seen you not love seeing people in love. You literally only hate couples in conversations. Like when we're talking. When it comes to practice, like actually walking the walk, you love love.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I do love love, but certain people that are just like, "Oh, I love you," like
you
in
don't
public.
You don't like PDA.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with dating. I do love love, but I do think love is embarrassing.
Well, I hope you're not ever embarrassed to tell me that you, like, have a crush on someone or fall for someone.
I don't think I've had a crush on someone that I know since, like, 2022.
I know.
And we all know who that person was.
I know, but I was so excited that you did talk to me about it. Just to share a little insight, when Piper had her first real crush that wasn't, like, a celebrity...
Conan Gray is so beautiful. We've been married for a while now.
Oh my God.
Just in case anyone was wondering.
When Piper had her first real person she knew crush, she came to me and like she kind of insinuated she had a crush. I was like, "Oh my God, that's great." And she was like, "It is?" I was like, "Yeah." And I think she expected me to be, I guess, more protective, like not wanting her to have a crush on someone.
That's because I know my friends' parents are like that.
Right. And so I think she expected me to be like, "You're too young for that," or blah, blah. But I was actually more upset that she wouldn't tell me who it was. And
I told you after like a day or two. Though.
I know, but I was like, "You don't want to talk about it?" And she was like, "Are you more upset that I have a crush on someone or that I won't tell you who it is?" And I was like, "That you won't tell me who it is, obviously. Why?" And I said, "'Cause I want to talk about it. You don't want to have girl talk?" It was very Lorelai and Rory. Very much so. Very much that episode where she's like, "Is that it?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "What now?" And she goes, "Now? Nothing." And she's like, "No lecture about kissing a boy?" And Lorelai says, "No. Why? Did you do it wrong?" And she says,
I am scared that my first kiss I'm going to do it wrong. That's why.
It's really hard to do it wrong. I mean, it is possible. I have kissed many a bad kisser, but the saddest part about that, though, is that most of the bad kissers I've kissed were, like, older. Like,
oh, so they should
like
have
late
like
20s.
experience.
Yeah, or at the very least, not bad. Jesus. I remember when I was 19, I kissed this guy that was, like, 26.
What?
I always liked older guys.
All of my friends like older people.
You knew that.
Especially ones that said that they don't like older people. They like older people.
Well, I know for women, typically older people are who they go for because of the maturity levels.
Oh, it's a guy. But women are super mature.
Men like older women sometimes too. I was like 19 and he was 26. Worst kisser Literally the worst kiss ride.
Wait, was it like with tongue?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It was terrible.
Was it like when Shawn Mendes and Camilla kissed?
I don't know what that's like, but I do know that he clearly thought I was an ice cream cone. It was terrible. I hate it. I hated it.
That's hilarious.
There was only one kiss for that reason.
Oh. Did you never see him again?
Absolutely not. I knew it would be kind of a short episode,
Yeah,
but I just want you to be prepared again. I just want you to be safe.
I am.
I want you to be as prepared as possible to not make the same mistakes that I made, but I want you to at the same time know that if you do make a mistake, that I will be there for you.
Yeah, I know.
And that I will help you, and that I will guide you through it, and that I will get you through it, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to ever make you feel like... I don't like it when I see parents that are so harsh about the sex topic that they scare their children into submission, so much so that when a child does slip, or when they become teenagers and then do veer off the path that their parent has chosen for them or whatever, they're then terrified to talk to their parents, or they're finding themselves in situations where they can't reach out to their parents.
Yeah.
I just don't ever want to have that with you, you know?
You don't?
And I'm sure that I'll get plenty of comments talking about how I'm making it seem like it's okay for you to go out and have a bunch of sex.
I don't want
Which
to.
is definitely not what's happening. I have not thrown any condoms at you.
Wouldn't you throw birth control pills at me?
I'd probably throw both of you if I'm totally honest. The one thing I would not throw at you is a IUD. That's that thing that's shaped like a Y that can like fuse to your insides.
What?
Yeah. It's like semi-permanent birth control.
Oh! Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Wait, does it like go into your arm?
No. I know women that have had
No,
that.
that's Nexplanon.
Yeah.
Because Vanessa Hudgens uses that.
Does she? I don't.
Yeah, I'll always remember that commercial from like.
No, the shot. I know women that have used the shot, and I know some that hated it, and I know some that liked it. But an IUD is just like, honestly, the risks just far outweigh the benefits. So that's one thing I will never recommend for you.
And enjoy my ASMR.
God. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. And if you'd like to see some behind the scenes and everyday fun, make sure you follow us on TikTok and Instagram. If you have any stories to tell us or anything you'd like us to share on the podcast, please reach out to me at Christina@iwannabelikeYou.com.
Tune in next week when we talk about my friends and what my mom thinks of each of them and why I don't have a time limit for texting them.
Thanks.